Tried all the rest? Learn from the best. Join WDGLC.com today.
Okay, Wayne Defrancesco here, and we're looking at Johnson Wagner here on the left. We're not looking at Keegan Bradley except for this one little snippet, because what I wanted to show you was the interesting likeness of the posture here. I don't see guys bending over this much. This is kind of a different thing, but if you thought Bradley was bent over, well, Wagner's right in there with him. So if we draw it up on his lower back, you can see pretty darn close. Now, right about there, the similarities end. If you watch Bradley, he will take the club back conventionally on the shaft plane, keep it in front of him, get a little vertical, and then cross the line. If we watch Wagner, he's going to go right away from his body. He's going to lift the club, open the face. His right arm is flaring, but his arms are going so far out that it's not deep. But the left wrist is real cupped, the face is open, and he's going to lay the thing off and keep his arm really low. See that right arm? So you could hardly swing any more different than what these two guys are doing here. Now, one thing you won't see is any straightening of that right knee. You can see it just grinding and holding that flex. So Bradley is going to kick toward the ball, but look how fast his left leg is rotated. I mean, his left knee is gone, and his left arm is just about almost parallel to the ground, which is pretty early, which I like, and it's the kind of move that I'm partial to. And then when Bradley hits it, he really goes nicely to the left. Now Wagner is going to hit a completely different shot here. He hits all right to left shots, as far as that's what the announcer said, who probably watched him play or has seen him play before. So from a laid off position, watch how long it takes Wagner's left knee to disappear. In fact, it almost never does, like right now. So he's pretty square. His arm is more in front of him than you might expect, but look at the flatness of his feet. Pretty wild. Right arm is straightening a little bit straight out, so you see a slight chase release there. Now when I say chase, I just mean a little bit less left than Bradley. Probably shouldn't use the phrase chase, because Johnny Miller ruined the word by saying that Hogan chased down the line. Nobody swings down the line, just to be sure. Some guys just swing a little more so than others.
Need help with your swing? Get an online lesson from Wayne at WDGLC.com.
The footwork is pretty amazing. I mean, this guy is 6'3", 230, and I guess when you're that big, you don't really need to rotate your trunk very much, because certainly in the backswing, I mean, he really doesn't. Okay, so anyway, that's just sort of an interesting aside. Let's go back to Wagner here, and we'll check out a swing. I've got kind of a side-on front view. I couldn't really find any face-on views of him. So here we've got another swing with the hard catch at the top. And a lot of stress on that shaft starting forward. You get it. You see that club low and back behind his neck like that. You see it's reminiscent of Hogan. Too bad we don't have a better view of this, but that's pretty cool there. Super sharp angle. When you get the left wrist cupped like this and keep it that way starting down and don't bow it, you can retain quite a bit of angle. Now if we watch his initial hand movement from the top, you're going to run a little bit more vertically down toward his feet. And the club's going to come in just slightly behind his hands, and he's going to turn it over. And then you can pretty much see why he's hitting a draw most of the time. Now, it's also interesting to note that for a guy that's bent over, he still lowers his head. So if you, camera's moving a little bit, but still you can kind of see versus that camera's going down. So if you look at it versus the backdrop back there, you can see he's just a fraction down. And then into the shot, as his legs straighten up, he's lifting. You know, which I guess Brandel Chambly would call that popping up. He seems to be popping up quite nicely. These days he's won about 1.5 million or 6 in the last couple of weeks. So again, the footwork is pretty interesting. So if we flip over to this side view, watch the right leg. Look at that thing drive. So if you're looking at it just from behind, you might think, well, he's kind of sliding forward. But you get a different view of it from that deep hip position. So when this thing goes forward, you can see it driving almost behind the left. Now the interesting thing is that the left stays stuck out there. So he doesn't really incorporate any of the muscles over here that would help him rotate out of the way, because he really doesn't care, because he's got the club delayed, coming in slightly into out, turning that thing over. His feet are flat. Now when I mentioned the upper trunk movement, so normally you would take somebody and you would teach them to rotate the right shoulder more on top of the left, so you would engage all the muscles in the back, which would help you to load up and hit the ball further. But when you're 6'3" and 230, you can build up speed other ways, and obviously here he's not really rotating his spine at all. If you look at the relative amount of hip rotation in the backswing, this is one of these guys that's got next to none. I don't know, I'd call that from here maybe 25 degrees the most. And you can see the right leg driving and pushing in. The left is finally going to clear back, and then the hands hit the ball. Now again, if you're just looking at it from behind, you might say, this guy's flipping the club through the ball. Hard to see from here, blurry camera. Not the greatest, but here's a shot that they picked up in the rough. So check this one out. So there you can see that his wrists are still, left wrist is still cupped. Hasn't turned down yet. So he's going to, face is wide open. He's going to turn this thing down late. Now he's not digging this ball because it's sitting up a little bit, but that is kind of gnarly grass. So watch what happens here. Now watch. Now this is why guys get on, why he's good in the first place, and who knows why he gets on. You get on such rolls like this. It's kind of cool, but he's only played in 5 majors. He's been on tour for 7 years, and he's only made a couple of cuts. His best finish was 36th. So you see guys that get hot like this, and you look back and you look at the career, and you're like, huh. I wonder if he can keep playing like this and go into a major championship. So check this out. He's blasting that thing. Look at that. It's always cool to watch these super slow-mos and watch that shaft. Man. I wonder why it's hard to control a golf ball. Look what's going on there force-wise. Now I can also tell you that if you watch how much stress is on the hands at that impact, watch the the right thumb almost come off and then come back on the club. If you don't think you need a firm grip, you're wrong. You better hold on to that club. And I would suggest doing it when you begin, because if you don't have the instincts to hit the ball like these guys do, you're not going to snag it at the right time, and the club is just going to fall out of your hands. So that's pretty wild there. Real nice look. Let's go to back to this swing again. So club head way out, super bent over, hands low, laid off, arms way down and connected. I mean, he's definitely got some width, but that right elbow is not very high. Routes the club downward a little bit. Legs are slow. The club is trailing like crazy. Great lag. Now he's going to turn it down and just spank it. So at regular speed, it's got that, again, it's got that hard catch at the top. You can see that waggle, kind of a staccato, kick the hands, bing, bing. Now we did Mark Wilson, and he had a similar type of tempo, but Wagner's backswing pace is much more conventional. So this would probably time out at 23-7 or something like that. Let's watch another swing here. I don't know, I've often wondered what it would be like to be as big as some of these guys are when you can just sort of make it up. You don't have to incorporate everything you have to hit the ball. Alright. So another fairly unconventional swing that is functioning very well right now. So we'll see how it pans out over time. All right.